Go ahead, Eric.
Week 1 is in the books. Lots of interesting things happen in week 1, but I don't know how much stock I put in week 1, but we're slowly approaching week 2.
And for all you guys out there that are watching tonight to see our previews of the week 2 games, just know that Brett and Ed both were 4-0 in week 1 in the Pick'em segment. So it's the Bottom Line Podcast, and it starts now.
And that's the bottom line. Want a war? You're gonna get one.
Rise to the top, oh yeah.
Now you wanna get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
That is my
We were 4-0 last week. Bop, 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 bop,
I
bop.
don't know if you want to know this week who the winners are going to be. Stay tuned because,
Jeez.
you know,
Picking points.
everybody says, oh, week 1, you know, it's too hard to pick the winners. You don't know what these teams are or whatever. Two of us, 4-0, baby.
We pick point spreads, bud. We don't pick straight up anymore.
Okay, I'm 3-1. That's using the points now. That's using the points. Let's bring our partners in crime on so we can get this thing going.
I don't really want to. I don't want to listen to Brett cry. I should be 4-0. I should be 4-0. This is
Whether
fair,
it's
guys.
4-0 or the Four Horsemen, you're
This
used to
isn't
using
fair.
4, aren't you, Brett?
It's not fair. Just sit there and cry, Brett, and I'll just sit here with these championship season rings, baby. Yeah, I'd hide behind that too, that ugly mug.
Someone sensitive this week. They went 1-3.
No, I've been there before. It's fine. I'm just not going to cry that I had to use the point spreads and it didn't work out for me.
In fact, I had to get, being a bean counter like I am, I had to get the calculator out after week 1 to see if Eric and KJ were mathematically eliminated already.
Oh, my God. You know who hasn't whined?
The redneck math to Brett down in the deep south.
You know who hasn't whined, KJ? You and me.
Exactly.
I mean, now, you really can't whine, KJ, because you really didn't understand how point spreads worked until I explained them to you. But you're still not whining. That's fair. It's a fair point, though. You're still not whining. These guys understood point spreads, and they're still like, oh, I'd have been 4-0 if we weren't picking point spreads.
What I don't understand, though, KJ, is when you come down to St. Louis or come up to St. Louis for the championship game, when you was at our tailgate,
Mhm.
you spent more time staring at the casino across the interstate than you did looking forward to our
Hey,
game. So how can a grown-ass man who's a gambler and even backs the Houston Gamblers and even has his own coin, how
Yep.
can you not understand what point spreads are at your age?
I understand point spreads, the convoluted component of how the plus and minus functionality works in this new system of sports gambling is not something I'm used to doing. I never was a participant in that. The most, I guess, gambling, if you want to call it that I participated in on a sports basis was like doing fantasy leagues back in the day, and I haven't done those in years. So,
just to show you how corrupt we are, we're bashing a guy that's not gambled his money away like we have. I mean, who's the smart one out of the four? I'm just.
I will say the trip to St. Louis was an overall positive because I got to meet Jordan Ta'amu in person, face to face, and get an awesome picture with him. And I won like, I don't know, $60 or $80 at the blackjack table. So I ain't complaining.
Well, and I've also noticed, Brett, that a lot of the UFL shows that I've been listening to, they're all starting to preface their pick segment by saying that their views doesn't necessarily, they want to cover their ass so that when these people listen to what they got to say and then they go put 1,000 on the game, they don't get any retribution from it. So
hold on.
Are we going to go out on a limb? Are we going to go out on a limb, Brett, and tell them to sell the house and take the money and put it all on red?
Hold on. Just saw one of my favorite movies again for like the 968th time the other night. It was Mad Max, Mel Gibson. When he's sitting there on the tires, he says, "You want that truck? You talk to me.
You talk to me.
You talk to me." So if you want a new car, if you want to pay your house mortgage way down, talk to me.
Talk to me.
Hey, Marco. Hey.
Or Ed. Definitely not Eric, but Ed.
Whatever.
We got the Dallas fans lining up already because they know there's a big, hot and heavy game going on, and we got one of their podcast hosts joining us with the Gridiron Nation later, and we're going to be talking all kinds of Dallas St. Louis. So a rare Tuesday night game. Get ready because we're going to talk about it. But let's get into our recaps first and get them out of the way before we go into Brett's beautiful Week 2 power rankings. Start off with the Friday night tilt, which was Louisville's first home game, which was a sellout of, I believe, just over 14,000 fans. Did Birmingham come in? And Brett, I'll let you do the recap. I know you're dying to talk AJ football. Go ahead.
Well, you play to win. That being said, Louisville was very impressive on both lines of scrimmage. They really were. I think the head coach with some of the conservative play calling, I was really shocked on 4th and goal at the 2 that he went for a field goal. I thought I'd went back in time. I was in a DeLorean with Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future because, guys just don't do that now. It was both coaching staffs in that game. It was absolutely game one. They played it close to the vest. There was not a lot of gambling in that game. Birmingham came out with a victory, but they were very, very fortunate. But the dimes that the quarterback threw with Louisville, he's going to be a problem. And Louisville's going to win some games this year. I hate for them that their home opener with that crowd and that atmosphere didn't end the way they wanted it to end. I'm being a Stallions fan. I'm thrilled to get out of Louisville and the Lynn Family Stadium 1-0. Birmingham still has 2 more road games before we get back at home. shout out to Mincy, our wide receiver, a guy that used to be on DC for a couple seasons, had about 9 catches, 107 yards, touchdown, somewhere in that ballpark. And not to lead into Eric and Ed's DC and St. Louis review, but you could tell DC missed some of those players that they've had on that roster the last couple of years. But giddy up, Stallions are 1-0. On to Houston this week, see if we can get 2-0 before we go to the Battle Dome for the second straight season. But it was good quality football. You could still, there was some rough parts there, but I thought it was pretty dang exciting, especially with the crowd. And the game was on the line to the very last play. So that's really all I got, guys. Louisville, like I said, Louisville still could be a playoff contender this year. They showed me a lot.
So let's talk about the coaches for a little bit. What was your impressions, Eric and KJ? You guys, either one of you can comment on this. What do you think about Coach the job that Coach Redmond did and his counterpart AJ? What's your thoughts on those two?
Well, I feel. I mean, for the most part, we obviously had a lot of young coaches across the league, or different coaches across the league. Week 1. This game especially, was it perfect? No. But I think you give them, you take AJ and you take Redmond. They don't have a Rick Neuheisel, for example's head coaching experience and resume and things like that. Just being able to handle now. Coach Neuheisel has to learn the idiosyncrasies of the UFL and how to operate getting past the 50 and all those types of things. But he has that head coaching experience to be able to walk in there and do some of the things that come naturally to a head coach. But to be quite honest with you, and I know we're not talking about that game, really the only, and again, this is a new rule thing, the only real major blunder that I saw was Coach Beck in his operation there at the end. Not understanding, how the rules worked. And he's been a head coach for 3 years in the XFL, UFL. So I wasn't unhappy. Would you agree, Brett? Just from AJ's perspective. Obviously a lot to look at.
I'm surprised that Brett didn't comment on Marty's comment here. When he was talking is, if there was one thing to come out of that Birmingham game, it's that, man, they need to look at their field goal kicker because
the kicker was so dreadful. I literally told Marty after the game, I said, I want to forget about it. And I was hoping he was going to be released this week and that Rodrigo was going to get his butt to Birmingham because he was the guy we originally picked. But that field goal kicker is a real, real problem. And it was a windy night that night. But when he lined up for his first kick, I'm like, oh, this is liable to, and it wasn't good. And it really kind of put our hands behind our back. But the one thing that frustrated me more than that, I'm a Chicago Bears and Alabama Crimson Tide fan. I'm used to having bad kickers. The lack of imagination on first and second down with the play calling was ultra frustrating. Very. There was probably 6 or 7 times in a row where Birmingham on first and second down ran traps up the middle. First and second, and over and over. And then we're 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 4th and 11, and give credit to Matt Corral. He bailed us out because our play calling was absolutely crap. And the one thing I hope AJ went back and watched the film, and I'm sure he did. AJ complimented his play calling at the end of the game. And other than that last drive, I don't know what in the hell AJ was watching because it wasn't the same game I watched. Again, I was more frustrated with the offensive play calling than the kicker. The kicker can be replaced, and hopefully before Sunday he will be.
So KJ, what was your initial thoughts on head coach Redmond on the job he did? I was pleasantly surprised. How about you?
Yeah, I thought he did very well, especially being a new coach and going up against a team like Birmingham. I mean, I will say going in, I definitely expected maybe a wider potential scoring margin with that game, most notably out of all the ones we were looking at this weekend. Yeah, I think he did a very good job. I will say, kind of speaking retroactively or post-mortem after this weekend's game and slates, but connected to that a matchup. And I know I'm not the only one who's echoing the sentiment, but kind of surprised by the release of the OC. I believe that's who they let go, and it was announced, was it today or yesterday?
Yeah.
That to me was pretty stupefying. And to Brett's point, it's like, if anybody had the worst night on that field, coaches included, it was the kicker for Birmingham. And if anybody should have been released, I would put that guy way over the OC of Louisville. But that aside, I think they both did a really good job. There's one other game I think that it stuck out to me as a viewer that I noted this happened like it did for AJ in that Friday night game. But Ted Ginn had the same issue on the field with the team at certain points where they were having, play clock management problems. And they both had the wherewithal to keep an eye on the clock and call the timeout before getting burned with a, delay a game penalty. For first-time coaches, while AJ is a previous player, Ted Ginn is too, that's their first coaching roles for both of them. And for them to have that level of leadership awareness, I think speaks well on both of their behalves. And for me, really the thing that stuck out too with AJ and his kind of mindset or modus operandi was like his demeanor was very relaxed. He was calm and resolute, kind of maybe the opposite of what you'd see in some cases with a Saban or other coaches, or even to give a counter, I guess, Ricky Prohl and his crew. They were very energetic at the St. Louis game. I'm sure playing in the Battle Dome probably helps that. But, it's just a personality difference thing too. Sometimes guys can command the aura and respect of their team, like, Paterno or what have you, by just staying calm and resolute. And other guys are just more charismatic. So that was unique to me because I feel like I got to learn more about AJ just watching him lead the team and coach in that game that way. But I think they both did a great job. I'm very excited to see how Redmond does the rest of the year. I told you all this, I think, either on the show or before we went live last week. I felt like if either team, quote unquote, needed to lose in terms of like the timing of it, I think it was better for Louisville because they are a new squad. Redmond's a new coach. It's easier to, in my eyes, work upward than have to like maintain a level of excellence through the course of a season. And, you can get an ego really fast when you're a new guy, whether that be a coach or a player, if you're having early success. So I think them facing adversity earlier in the season is actually probably better for them long-term. And I would say from what I saw with, I'm going to fart on the quarterback's name from Louisville, but he was probably of the weekend. I think the biggest surprise to me, granted it was the first game of the weekend, so maybe that's why it still sticks out in my head. But that kid is laser accurate with the football, like scary.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
Not only did he have the range, but he was dropping dimes on the sidelines for guys to catch like it was nothing. And the only reason they didn't pull him in was on the receiver, not on the QB for his placement of the ball. So that's very encouraging for them as a team. And I think people need to keep their wits about them if they ever either come into town or have Louisville come into their town, because they're a good squad.
Well, I know that Louisville had some real tough injuries that second half. I know they had a couple concussion injuries that second half, but Coach Redmond had said in the post-game presser that he thought both of them were going to be just fine. So we'll see if they're in this weekend's game. But let's move on to the next game, and that was a Saturday game. First out of the chute, DC was playing in St. Louis. I have some initial thoughts on that game. Eric, you want to go first?
Well, my initial thoughts on the game were either DC was not ready, and I would be shocked for that, or they've got a real problem up front. Jordan Tam, who was sacked 7 times, pressured numerous times. If you look at it and you say, well, it's week 1, gelling, whatever you want to play to it, okay. But if not, DC is in real trouble up front because St. Louis, I was completely satisfied with how the defense played. Pitched a shutout in the second half. But for DC, I'm concerned that they are not very good up front. And I don't care how good your quarterback is. Jordan Ta'amu was running for his life. And so if I'm a DC Defender fan, that is the thing that I am most concerned about. And let's face it, there's no Roland this year. He obviously performed pretty well for Orlando, except for that stupid penalty. I mean, they're missing some pieces off that dynamic team last year. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. But right now, that up front for DC, eesh. So that was my initial takeaway from the game was just how much pressure. I had, correct me if I'm wrong, Ed. Have we seen a Battlehawk defense put that kind of pressure on quarterbacks in the past?
No, I mean, the Battlehawks defense was for real. I mean, at halftime, you could say nothing about St. Louis offense. I mean, it was abysmal. And, you know, they took a page out of the Minnesota Vikings playbook. And, you know, when Gary Jennings caught that 64-yard, you know, reception and got it down to the half-yard line in the second quarter there. They were on the half-yard line. First play, straight up the middle for nothing. Second play, straight up the middle for losing a half a yard. So here we are, third down from the 1 yard line. They get sacked and they have to kick a field goal. So, I mean, the offense, and for both sides, really, it was kind of a difference, though. I thought St. Louis's offense just didn't perform. I don't know that it was so much. You know, DC's always had a strong defensive line. They've always had a pretty tough defense. But I just thought St. Louis's offense was sputtering. You know, but if you look at DC's offense, I think it was St. Louis's defense that just, you know, Ta'amu's had some huge games in St. Louis.
Right.
And he not only, you know, like we said, 7 sacks, 2 interceptions, but there were several times he just had the ball to get rid of it. So
he's running for his life.
Yeah, so
I'm
hoping
pressure everywhere.
So I'm hoping that's going to be the tail. The problem is when you talk about KJ's got that cup going again this week.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I was like, what is going on here?
I know
my mic hoist is like anchored to my desk right next to where the cup holder is. So I guess it's an echo sound wave reverberation or whatever.
We had a rocket take off for the moon tonight. I thought maybe KJ was going to talk to us.
Henceforth, I will mute when I need to take a drink, so that will not happen on stream.
I think also
but third down efficiency. You know, I'm always big on third down efficiency, just for, you know, keeping drives alive and keeping control of the ball and keeping it away. I mean, DC 30% on third downs, 3 for 10. St. Louis was only 5 for 16, 31%. So a 30 and a 31% clip just isn't going to get it done on offense. So it's going to take a couple weeks, I know, but plenty of room for improvement.
But this is the thing that, I mean, I can think back to the very first drive. Jackson has got the ball right here for a first down on third down and 5 or 6, whatever it was, and it's a drop. It's a first down by 3 or 4 yards. I mean, do I think the answer for St. Louis's offense, you know, do I think the answers are answered already? No. Do I think Silvers is the man? I don't know. I think Pratt is there for a reason. Hakeem Butler's hurt, so you lose your field stretcher. You lose your guy that they're going to focus on. Ed, you and I talked about it. Jacour Pearson has to start showing up one way or the other. He either has to be able to show up across the middle, sneaky, finding those holes, stretching the field. He's got to show up somewhere.
But here's the question, Eric. Is it still a matter? I know A.J. Smith, they interviewed him on the sideline during the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the comment where he's basically appealing to the St. Louis crowd, because I'm not going to lie, the St. Louis crowd, there was booze coming out of the crowd there for a while.
I have no doubt.
And he just basically said, just give me a chance. We're going to get this fixed or whatever, So I get it, but my question becomes with Ja'Cour Pearson is, 23 played with the Sea Dragons.
Yep.
Okay. So we get him in 24 with the high expectations of what he was in 23 with Seattle. I'm not talking about him personally underperformed, but his stats underperformed in 24. His stats underperformed in 25. So I'm asking myself, okay, you could say that Coach Beck always is a run-first offense. So they weren't using Ja'Cour Pearson the way he was supposed to be used. So I gave him 2 hall passes. So now it's week 1 of the 26th season, and he still was non-existent. So after a while, you got to start asking yourself, are they not using him right, or is he just not able to get open anymore?
Right. And that's a valid point. I mean, fair point. But I just can't believe that. And, reports are Hakeem Butler will be back this week in Dallas. When you have 6'6", long, number 88 on the right side, and Pearson out to the left, who are you looking at? I'm looking at 88 if I'm the defensive coordinator. So Pearson is probably going to get, some softer coverage because they're going to rotate it over or whatever they might be doing. Like, if he can't take advantage of that, then he's got to go. We have plenty of receivers, and he's got to go. We can't have a guy out there if what you say is true, and it very well could be, he can't get open anymore, because he's not huge anyway. Then he's got to go.
Well, what's his age, KJ? Can you pull that up? What you guys keep talking about it, and rightfully so, what he did in 2023 with DiNucci in Seattle. But we're in 2026, fellas, and he's a slot receiver, like you said. He don't have the strength, he don't have the size, and that's the first thing that goes is your legs. How old is Ja'Cour?
Let me look.
Oh, I got it here.
Is it Pearson or Peterson? Yeah, I got it.
Pearson.
He is 27. So, I mean, 27,
He's good.
He's in his prime yet. So,
Yeah.
So those are valid questions. Like, what are we doing here?
So, Coach Harris for DC, I got to hand it to him. And he said too many penalties, third down efficiency was bad. He come right out and said St. Louis didn't beat us, we beat ourselves. Well, it's easy, as a St. Louis fan, for the fans to say, oh, sure, you say that isn't the truth, whatever. But really, if you look at it, St. Louis, the way the Battlehawks played the first half on offense, if DC would have been doing anything, they could have put that game out of reach in the first half.
Yeah.
So the fact that DC was not able to get anything established at all on offense, I mean, I part of me has to agree with them. So it's going to be interesting to see, what kind of team we see with DC when they go into Columbus in week 2 for the opening Friday night game. Any parting shots on this game before we move on, KJ? Anything?
Turn your mic on.
I hope DC improves, obviously. Again, I think the adversity coming early in the season's a good thing, but Eric brings up the valid point in terms of legitimately having concerns about the O-line. If they don't feel confident enough with the guys they've got on the roster, they got to make adjustments. We'll see how they do this weekend. I think that'll be the tall tale sign of if they're trending in the right direction and, adjusting appropriately, or if they're still struggling to metaphorically and literally fill the voids.
Well, I think if they graded out the O-lines, DC's O-line would have graded dead last in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Houston would be competing for that for sure.
Well, but I mean, even Houston's offensive line looked to me better. I mean,
I got a ton of respect for the coaching staff at DC, and I got to believe that Coach Keiss and Harris and Williams, those guys are going to have their guys ready to play this weekend. So I would be shocked if DC didn't right the ship, at least get to 1-1 after this week, but we will see.
Real quick on DC, one thing we're all have forgotten. Go back and look at DC starts back in 23, 24, and even last year. They're notoriously slow starters.
You're correct.
For some reason, they've been to 2 championship games, 2023 and last season, where they won it. Even last year in 2023, I think they were like 1-2 or 1-3.
Weren't they 0-2 last year starting out?
Man, it's just about every year to where they're either 0-2 or 1-3 to start the season. And then they, it's a different roster this year, but it's not alarming to me. That's one reason I picked St. Louis last week, was because, man, it's 4 years in a row to where they just start really bad. And just out of nowhere, like last season, about week 6, week 7, you're like, oh, here they come.
Well, listening to all the post-game pressers, though, and you listen to all these coaches, even before the first game, they all make the comment about how the defense is always going to be ahead of the offense. And it's going to take probably 2-3 weeks for these offenses to start gelling. And you heard that. I know St. Louis said that. DC said that. I mean, you could go team after team that talked about how the offense is just going to take time to gel, and I think that's going to be the case.
But the thing that I didn't see, other than Tyler Scott, who's their guy? Who's their weapon? I mean, last year, Roland. I mean, you'd have answered that question.
And Mincy.
Like and Mincy. You could have answered it just like that. But this year, I saw Tyler Scott, and I didn't see much else.
That's what we were chuckling about earlier.
Hey,
John David with his
of course he chimes in. I did get something in the woods. We did tag out, but in true dedicated superfan fashion, I was watching the game in my pickup on the way home. So yes, I did watch it live.
Well, that makes all the people on the road feel comfortable.
Hey, I'm sitting here.
Hey, I did the same thing between here and Memphis. So Nashville and Memphis. So Eric, you're not alone there. Don't take no shame in that.
My kids go, are we seriously going to listen to this game over the radio with you watching? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
We are.
Put your headphones on and shut up. That's what you said.
Yeah. I'm the father.
Take a nap. I don't care. I'm listening to this game and watching it.
We are going to skip ahead to the Sunday night game next so that we can save the Dallas Houston game for our guests we got coming on here shortly. But the Sunday night game, you had Columbus traveling to Orlando. Orlando, nice crowd. Listening to Coach Ted Ginn after the game, he was really kicking himself. It was 9-6 there in the second quarter, and right before halftime, he had a chance to kick a field goal and tie it up, and instead he went for it and didn't get it. And he said, when he looks back on it, it really turned out being a 9-point swing, because not only did he not get the 3 points, but then Orlando come out right away in the third quarter and got a touchdown. So he says, it's like we go from the potential of being tied to being 9 points down. And he said it just made such a difference on, how that second half all played itself out. But what do you think, AJ or KJ, of McClendon's ability to bring the Aviators back in that fourth quarter and damn near get the job done?
I mean, it's true to his character, I'd say. And for those of us who are seasoned fans, what we know of him, he definitely was able to take command of the offense last year when he got the leading spot in Houston. Not surprised to see that from his own kind of internal capabilities. Obviously, they came up short at the end of things, but I think they at least put up a good fight. And it was definitely a good game to watch. I think, as you already stated, there's certain little kind of schematic and just greasing the wheels or what have you with regards to kind of all the players gelling together on that offensive side of the ball. But I think once they do that, they'll be looking really good. I mean, I saw, obviously Kiki Chisholm and Jalen were in sync, and I think that is a testament to last season since they both came from Houston. And then on top of that, I was sitting there, loving it and hating it at the same time as the Gamblers fan over here because, you're seeing these guys perform and produce, at least on the field to some extent, and you're kicking yourself going like, why do we let these guys go? But same for White on the ground. Their running game was solid. And I think that was really smart, actually, again, to begin with. Even though, I know your casual fan usually gets like impatient when it comes to the ground game. They did a very good job of establishing that as a foundation at the start of the game. And I think that's what aided them in kind of a lot of their play action and different schemes they ran through the course of the game holistically. So,
But Eric, as we talked about last week, and I brought up about Coach Beck, what was the subject that we brought up last week?
Conservative.
The bend but don't break defense.
Yep, let
And
him
so
move the
what does he
football.
say in the post-game press conference? He says, we had a great running game. We got one of the top running backs in the league. Okay, check mark number 1. He's going to rely on the running game. Check mark number 2, he says, our defense couldn't get off the field, but you know what? We're a bend, don't break defense. And I'm like, oh, God, there's check 2. It's like,
Are you still coaching St. Louis?
It's like, oh, my God. And then what was point 3? What did we say? Plays good defense, controls the ball,
Yep.
and it comes down to the final 2 minutes. So what happens in check 3? He had the ball with a 1-score lead and had to try and play keep away against Columbus to seal the win. And I'm like, if that wasn't your definition of Coach Beck for the 2 years he was with St. Louis or 3 years he was with St. Louis, that game said it all. And the way he talked at the post-game press conference, I'm just telling you, Orlando, I'm not upset that, he did he was 22-8 in the regular season for St. Louis. He went to Orlando, he was a great coach, but I'm telling you, you guys are going to think you've got it, and he's going to get you guys to the playoffs. And he's going to use that same conservative game plan, and you're going to have an offensive juggernaut come in and lay the wood to them. And once again, they're going to be 1-out.
The Cliff Notes version, folks, is that if you're a Orlando fan, don't get your hopes up for the postseason.
In the first round of the playoffs, before you know it, you will be down 17-0.
I'm watching that game on Sunday night. And I'm looking at Mama Bear and I'm going, check. And I'm looking at Mama Bear again. I'm going, check. And she's going, what the hell are you talking about? I said, his game plan never changes. It's the same game plan every game.
He is who we thought he was.
His deal is this, and this never fails. No matter how good the game is going, no matter how much it looks like that his team should be up by 3 scores, he will manufacture a game that is a 1-score game one way or the other.
Absolutely.
I've personally watched it in person, and I've seen every Battlehawks game from 2023 on, and I'm telling you, if you're up by 14, he will manufacture it where they win by 3. If they're down by 14, he'll manufacture where they kick the game-winning field goal. It's just what he does. It's what he does.
Good thing then, go ahead and get your playoff tickets.
Yeah, Orlando, buy playoff tickets.
You know what the funny thing was, Eric? There was even conversation after the game where he was deciding on whether he should cross the 50 at the end of the game, because then he could still punt and make his defense play at the end of the game instead of just getting a first down and sealing the deal.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Bless his heart. Go ahead and show Jay's comment because he couldn't help himself. I know he's itching for me to respond to that.
Where's Jay's comment?
Up towards the top of the feed, I think.
This one?
Yeah.
Ask Brett to put his hat on. That forehead is blinding me.
Man, we don't all have good genes like you, Jay. I seen the comment and I just chuckled. I'm like, I knew somebody was going to say something about my mop that is fading away every time I do this show. It's just going back and back.
Those cowards are retreating like the French.
Following the doctor's orders, Bosley directed him to air out the scalp while the transplant does its magic. You just got to give it time.
And I start on Ozempic next week. Is there anything else, Jay?
Those bastards are retreating like the French, man.
Hey, here's my daughter checking in as usual late. So you've already missed this epic start, Amanda. So you missed all the good stuff already.
Better than last week so far.
Here's the cliff notes
compared to that. Yeah,
Orlando fans. Here's the cliff notes. Get your playoff tickets. Prepare for disappointment. And
have a good time before the game.
And think next year is going to be different.
Even if that actually happens, the gold nugget I would say, and this is a bragging rights they can hold over St. Louis's head, is if y'all buy all the tickets, Orlando Storm fans, and they don't make it, keep them and come to the game, and you will look miles better than the entire fan base populous majority of St. Louis, because their fans don't know how to go to a championship game when their team's not in it. So there you go.
Buy your playoff tickets if you're Orlando fans. Buy your playoff tickets.
I'm not going to touch it.
Eric's shaking his head because he
before the game starts. Sell them for a profit. That's all I got to say.
When are we going to get the announcement of where the championship game is going to be? I've seen a lot of comments about that in UFL fans and on X here recently.
We got to wait a few more weeks to see how St. Louis is doing. And then we'll announce where the championship game is going to be.
If St. Louis is 1-2, it's going to be in Orlando. If they're 3-0, check it. It's in the Dome again.
Napoleon's already committed. It's not going to be in St. Louis, and he has yet to contradict himself.
There you go, KJ. Eat it.
Yeah,
little man and mom and dad. We've been to the last 3 games.
Y'all have a child, and that already is a better testament to y'all's support base as a fan.
I haven't missed the championship game yet either, and none of you have gone home hungry, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no doubt. I did see Eric. I did see if he's still on. I did see you and little man right there with Nelly. You're on TV.
Okay, so while we're waiting and I might knock out Brett's power rankings here quick too, but before we get to that, all 4 of us will vote. Everybody that's on the comment line, you can vote too. But I think for halftime shows in week 1, Nelly was by far the winner.
Without question.
Question, he was the winner of the halftime shows.
It was the only halftime show that my wife watched and was like, I remember that. I remember that song. I remember that. He sings that. He sings that. I'm like, yeah. Nelly was the bomb
Bear
in the
was
90s.
on her feet, and I'll tell you what, when it comes to dancing, Mama Bear has got rhythm. And
what's she doing with you?
I will agree with you, Ed. I think he was the best, but I also agree with your daughter. I think Russell did a good job too to kick everything off Friday night. Was not a fan of DJ Khaled. I don't think I've heard "Put Your Hands Up" more in my life in a 5-minute span than I ever have before. That was the most redundant.
Even
DJ
my cats got up and just shook their head and left the room. I'm like,
you know what was funny? Mama Bear was having trouble staying awake during the halftime show. When we went to bed, the only thing she remembered from the halftime show was "Put your hands up."
Another one.
And the thing was, I don't think he sang any of those. So there was maybe one song that he sang a little bit with, but you can
About 8 seconds.
You can tell he's a producer, not a singer. So
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. DJ's got some good songs, but they definitely didn't perform them like that. I thought he'd come out, DJ Khaled. No, it's nothing like that. It's like, put your hands up. And his music's playing up.
Come on, Orlando. We having a party. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. I thought that was one of his songs after a minute. I'm like, is that one of his songs?
It was funny. I had the pleasure of talking to PETA after the game before he got on the bus. And he said, here we are. And I said, you guys were late coming out from halftime. I said, DC was on the field probably a good 5 minutes before you guys came out. And I said, Mama Bear looked at me and said, well, where's the Battlehawks at? And I said, after that first half, I'm sure they are getting their ass chewed. and so then I said to Pete, I said, so was there a lot of stuff in the locker room that you had to take in from the coach? And he goes, oh, yeah, the coach was telling us all kind of stuff. He said, but I could hear Nelly. And he said, I was getting into the music. He goes, I wanted to listen. I wanted to go back out on the field and listen to Nelly. So anyway, we still don't have Gabe here. So you know what we're going to do next? We're going to go straight into Brett's power rankings. And then we'll hear a word from our sponsor, Wild Sun Winery, after that. And hopefully we'll see Gabe at that point. But let's part the Red Sea. And let's go ahead and put Brett's power rankings up there, if I can find it right here. Brett, did you fall into the trap?
Yeah, he did.
Did you fall into the trap that only seeing one weekend of football, you put a team at the top? Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe. What I liked more, usually the first 2 or 3 weeks, like you say, it's defense driven. The coaches typically play it very close to the vest, very conservative. I absolutely loved the play calling from the Renegades. It wasn't just how they performed it. It was they were loose. They were slinging it around. Houston didn't have a clue what they were going to run from one play to the next. They were on their heels from the very beginning. And I think any team that Dallas would have played this past weekend would have been the case. But again, it's 1 week. We don't know. Really, I imagine it takes 3 or 4 weeks to get an idea of where some teams are at. But again, DC, they always play bad to start the season for the most part. So who knows if they're going to come back and defend their title? I don't know. But from what I saw this weekend, I've got the Renegades 1, the Storm 2, despite Anthony Beck, St. Louis 3. Their defense is who I thought they were. I said before the season started, and I think most people agreed with me, their front could be by far the best front in the league. They're scary. DC got a dose of that this Saturday. I was really disappointed in a lot of the play calling by St. Louis in Pro Saturday. I guess maybe I expected more. I expected something different. I said before the season, and I'll still stand firm on this, St. Louis is absolutely one of our 4 playoff teams. You can mark it down unless something bad, really bad happens. St. Louis they are pretty much who we think they are. They've got to get some more things going on offense, which is very, very typical for spring football starting the season. Birmingham, I let them exactly where I had them last week before they played Louisville. They could have absolutely lost that game. They showed a lot of resolve in the fourth quarter despite a dreadful kicking performance, despite bad special teams on punts, kick returns, really everything. The special teams was garbage. If you want to rate each grouping, I'd definitely give Birmingham an F on special teams all around the board. Louisville, I kept them. Actually, I think I moved them up a spot. I really love what the fans did and how they showed up. I think that's going to be a really good market for the long term. I was impressed with their quarterback, how accurate he was. They were physical. They were in position. I think if anything, probably their lack of imagination on offense might have cost them that game, along with, Birmingham's resolve. DC at 6, I mean, you can't drop them any further. They did go to St. Louis, the toughest place to play, and they hung in there to the very end despite really no offense whatsoever. I don't think we will see them at this low on the power rankings much longer. But like I said, they're notoriously slow at starting the season, so we'll see. Columbus, they showed me a good bit late in that game. I don't know if it was Anthony Beck's coaching or the fact that the Aviators just kept fighting. Just a little tidbit, I might have them favored to win this weekend. Got them at 7 in Houston. We've got a problem.
How did I know that was coming?
Hey, we just sent something to the moon today. I hope you know. I mean, it's disappointing. I know KJ is extremely disappointed, and I feel bad for the fans in the market. But again, guys, we do have to remember it's one game. But I will say this: New Heisel bent Sumlin over and just spanked his ass all over the field with that play calling. That OC, I would trade half the Birmingham Stallions right now if I could switch OCs with the Renegades, because for the first game of the year, man, that was some top shelf offense. And Houston kept fighting. They've got some good pieces on defense. I do worry about them moving forward. And look, they got Birmingham coming home for their home opener, but they can absolutely beat Birmingham from what I saw last weekend. But Houston, you've got to be in the cellar spot right now. And that's my week 2 power rankings.
The only thing I would disagree with, Brett, is I think that Orlando pretty much showed their cards. Typical Coach Beck.
Yep.
I don't think that their game plan to win is what it's going to take to be at the top of the league. So
yeah,
I'd probably put Orlando at 4 and slide the other 2 up 1. But I can't totally disagree after week 1. Eric, why don't you give quick thoughts, and KJ quick, and then we're going to take a quick break and get back. We got Gabe ready to go back.
He's in the bullpen. I guess the only thing I see is, as I look at the power rankings, the only team that won to slide was St. Louis. I don't have a whole lot of faith in. I mean, I think Orlando will be certainly a playoff team. I think Beck is more than capable of getting them there, but as being a top 2 team in the league, I mean, I guess we could see. I agree with Ed. I would slide 3 and 4 up 1 and put Orlando in 4. Because didn't you have Orlando like in the 6 hole last week?
Oh, I think it was 5 hole.
I think it was 4 or 5. Yeah, I just
this is what he had last week.
Oh, you had him in 3.
I had 3.
We had him at 3. So
I mean, whatever. Like I said, it's week 1. Power rankings are what they are. I mean, I would say you were drinking when you made those out, but I know you don't, so it's fine.
I was probably down on my Mountain Dew.
It was the nicotine, Eric. It was the nicotine.
Yeah, it was the nicotine.
So Eric, I'll take us to break.
All right.
We're gonna hear from Wild Stone. When we come back, we're gonna get Gabe on here, and
Gabe.
That's right. Gridiron Nation's gonna be on. We'll be right back. All right, it's time.
What is it, Ed? About a week and a half? I'll be at Wild Sun, put my order in. I think I'm going to bring a trailer down just so I can haul the wine back.
I'm firing up the old pizza oven that Friday night before. Go to Hamlin Steakhouse and have my son cook us up a few nice steaks on Saturday night. It's going to be an epic weekend. But let's get to it here. Let's bring him on, Gabe Garcia from the Gridiron Nation Podcast. Hey, Gabe, how are you doing?
What is up, my friends? How you guys doing, man?
Before we get started with you, I got to ask you, because I know that every Dallas Renegade fan was losing their shit last week when the Luis Perez was demoted to backup and Austin Bean was named the starter.
Austin Reed.
What was your Reed? Excuse me.
You said everybody was losing their shit. I still haven't found mine because I'm not convinced yet, Ed. I'm not convinced yet. You know why?
The guy down there,
because we played Houston. We played
Houston. We won. He damn near set a UFL record as a quarterback.
No, straight up. Okay, so straight up, honestly, I was, guys, you guys know me. I've always been about Luis Perez. I still am. He's my favorite player in the league. Has been for a long time. So when that news drops, I think we can all agree. You guys, not even as Renegades fans, everybody was shocked. Everybody that follows the league was shocked. Like, what? That this was the one quarterback spot other than perhaps Birmingham that we knew. Okay, or at least we thought we knew. They're good. They're good right there. And then when this news drops just days before, I was like, bombshell. Everybody, I'm like, what are you doing, New High School? And then, I made a joke afterwards, after the game, that I was, I spent my evening that night after the game typing up a rough draft email apologizing to Rick Neuheisel. Because I went in on him a little bit on my podcast, okay? But no, you know what? Austin Reed, I got to give him his props. Now, I am aware the scouting report, everything, what he did, in Western Kentucky and Division II, and his skills, everything. But I think the thing is, in this league, we all understand every one of these quarterbacks was probably a big fish somewhere at some point.
Right.
And so I was very skeptical. I'm still not 100% sold, but what I saw, I'm good with. So I'm like, when you go up, and yes, it was against Houston, as I was semi-joking a minute ago, but at the same time, when you get a defense that you're thinking may not be as good, at least at the time, this early in the season, if you're a good quarterback, you're kind of supposed to do that, what he did. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is a good thing. Neuheisel coming in. Of course, we all know Neuheisel, former quarterback himself. His coaching philosophy has always been about quarterback development, being creative with his plays, as we saw with some of that play calling the other day. So I really feel like I guess what I'm trying to say is I got to see a little bit of an encore against a much better St. Louis team, a much better St. Louis pass rush. If week 1 was 7 sacks is saying anything against Tamu, Austin Reed is really going to have to show what he can do with his legs this week. And the one good thing about Austin Reed, and I knew this going back to his scouting report, going back with Western Kentucky, as an NMSU fan, we played them a few times. And I remember one thing about him is he is very good at getting his guys the ball in position to make yards after the catch. We saw that 60-yard run, boom, second half. We saw it. Hits him up the slant up the middle. The thing is, you saw that deep ball he did to Bonds, and it was a beautiful pass. I was still being critical because I'm like, yeah, he dropped it in the breadbasket, but if he leads him, that's a touchdown. So those are the things that the only one knock I have on the guy, and this has been his knock his entire career through college, everything, is he doesn't have that elite arm strength that we're used to seeing with Luis Perez. Tyler Vaughns and those guys are guys that love to create space, love to use their speed. I'm going to need to see that from him. But again, that is nitpicking. Okay, so I am very happy with what I saw. I am not going to lie. I am good with him starting from now on. Now, having Luis Perez there, this is not a bad problem to have as a Renegades fan at all. Because I was afraid of starting this season 0-1 due to bad quarterback play. I don't have to worry about that now. We all know in a 10-game season with 4 teams making the playoffs, when you go down 0-1 or 0-2, you're already in a hole. You already got a big problem because there's only 4 teams that get into the postseason. So I'm good, but I need to see a little bit of an encore, like I said, against a much better defense on Tuesday.
Two things.
Luis Perez stay? Oh, I'm sorry, Eric.
Hold on.
Does he
Things.
stay?
Oh,
Go ahead and answer that one, but I have two things for you.
Don't put that thought in my head, Brett. Okay, I can't have that. I cannot see Luis Perez playing for Houston or.
Is he willing to sit the bench the whole season though? Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I that's the deal here is this guy probably be starting on every other team. He can definitely compete with every other team's starting position right now. And there's a good chance he would win it because of what he can do with his arm, his decision making, his quick release. So it's tough. I think right now, as a Renegades fan, and I'm trying to tell this to other Renegades fans as well, let's take this for what it was. It was a great, great debut for Austin Reed. Obviously, you go on and set a regular season record. I mean, you can't get much better than that, 3 touchdowns. But again, I'm not sure what to expect out of Houston this year. I'm going to be honest, and this is not just being a hater. I wasn't expecting much out of them. They've got some new pieces. I was a little bit surprised that they didn't use Jontre Kirkland more in the first half. This was a guy that I thought was going to be a big part of their offense going into this game. And I didn't even hear his name being called more than once until the second half. So I really feel like Houston's got some things to work on. How good are they? We don't know. Or how bad are they, I should say. How good are the Renegades? We're about to find out. We are about to find out how good Austin Reed really is, especially if they can get Day Hunter back. Now, while I feel he's more of a utility back, I think it showed against Houston that running game, they're going to need it. What happens if they get into a dogfight and you really need to be able to ground and pound and you can't because we don't have a proper running back there? Day Hunter, he's going to be the best running back on our roster, but to me, he's a utility back. He's better coming out of the backfield on those third downs. So I think if there's one thing for the Renegades that I got to critique, it was the fact that we need to get better in that running game. And I don't know if we will.
Before you start, Eric, I gotta let everybody know Excalibur's on, and he broke his chicken leg this last weekend, and Mother Hen's not in too good a shape coming back from a trip to the Bahamas. So wishing Excalibur the best, and I know he was walking around the stadium, the dome, talking to all the kids with a bad limb. So. Get well soon there. Okay, Eric, take it away before I step in.
2 things, Gabe. The first thing that I see is, and we talked about this a little earlier in the show, is Dallas kind of won the coaching lottery, if you will, having a Rick Neuheisel with the absolutely. Amount of head coaching experience, just the organizational part, the plethora of knowledge he had through Colorado, UCLA, and here. That's definitely a benefit. They were probably more able to hit the ground running with his experience more so than an AJ or a Pro or, take your pick of some of the new guys that haven't been head coaches. So that's point one. And lucky for you guys. Just lucky for you guys. The second thing is 3 weeks ago on this very show, and these guys will attest to it, boys, what did I say? Luis Perez may start the season.
Did you call it, Eric?
I said Austin Reed. I have watched that kid, Bears preseason games, all that stuff. I'm like, the kid can throw the football, and he's not 31 or 32 years old.
Right. That's
Perez's problem There's two things that I see, Gabe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. There's two things that I've noticed with Perez, especially since I started watching in 2023, clear to now. He has two problems. One, he's an X quarterback. He is on the X. Get to the X, that's where he's going to be.
Yeah.
Second thing is he does have a tendency, and when you don't have the ability of mobility, if you hold that ball a little bit too long, you put yourself in bad spots. And I think Coach Neuheisel pointed that one out. I don't know if he said much about the mobility, but he did talk about holding the ball too long. We got to have him get rid of the ball. So 3 weeks ago, I said this. I said, Austin Reed, I believe, is going to be the quarterback of Dallas at some point. I didn't think it was going to be week 1, but I did make that call.
I think, and you're spot on with both. I felt, I came on, I said it a lot, that I felt a lot of people when they were doing I don't do power rankings, obviously, because I feel like they're useless, but I feel like a lot of people, when they were coming on, the preseason power rankings, everybody had Dallas. My bad. They had Dallas, like at number 4. And I'm thinking, my whole thinking was exactly what you just said. This is one of the teams that has the coaching to come in and get it done, hit the ground running. I know there were new players, but we were all expecting Luis Perez, of course, so we expected good quarterback play. He wasn't there, but we got a great quarterback play in week 1. Tyler Vaughn was still there. I expected Dede Hunter to be playing. Now, we didn't find out till like the day before that he was not going to be playing at running back, but I know there's no more Sal Cannella, so this looks like a whole new kind of vibe coming in. Neuheisel is kind of saying, okay, I get it. Stoops was here, but now it's me. I'm doing things different. And I feel like you're right. That was one of the advantages, and that's why I was telling people I think that a lot of people were putting Dallas a little bit too low because of the coaching, to be exact, from the jump. Now, the other fact, yes, I mean, Luis Perez, that is always – I've always compared how painful it is to watch him try to get mobile to, like, y'all remember when Peyton Manning used to try to get mobile and it looked like it hurt? Yeah.
Well,
that is how it feels when I see Luis Perez take off running. I'm like, oh, just
the
ball.
Yeah, about a week before the season, I was at a presser, and that's when Eric alluded to Coach Neuheisel had said, I got to stop watching practice and snap the ball, and I'd tell him, within 2-3 seconds, you got to have the ball gone. And he says, I put an app on my phone, so every time we ran a play, he had to get rid of the ball. Well, I don't know if you remember, but Jersey and those guys, they were the same way. I've never seen the King of Spring that you guys refer to. I've just always kind of been not so much that I don't like him as a quarterback. I think it's just kind of fun to jab you guys because he was like a god to you guys.
He still is, and he still is.
So a couple years ago when he started 0-5.
Blasphemy!
When he started like 0-5 after every game, the 0-1 Perez, the 0-2 Perez, the 0-3 Perez, and every time I did that, people were losing their mind. So
you know what the worst part is? When there was 0-1, 0-2, he was still leading the league in passing, man. I don't know what the hell's going on.
So then, as you can imagine, I know it's going to come to a surprise to all these guys, but I'm not the most IT savvy guy in the world.
Not any.
So envision me in the presser last week when Coach Neuheisel was asked the question of who his starting quarterback was. And when he said it was going to be Austin Reed, I'm like, oh, my God, breaking news. It's got to be me. Breaking news. It's got to be me. So first thing, I turned my video off, and I got my phone. I'm like, okay, how do I do it? I got to say, I think I was cutting edge.
You know, I got to be honest about Austin Reed. I mean, while I know what he is capable of, the potential, he highly exceeded what I expected. He did, especially week one. We're all expecting. You know, we don't know yet how good some of these teams are. I mean, what I saw from DC, are you kidding me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jordan Tamu looked very unprepared at times.
But Gabe, there's the counterpoint to what your confidence in having the staff that was brought into Dallas is the same confidence a lot of us had having DC as high as we thought maybe they would be. Because, man, they're bringing everybody back. You know, and the coaching staff, they got Jordan Ta'amu. This should be a plug and play and let's roll. But it just didn't look the same.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I talked about it this week on my show that this was the one team that coming off a championship, it just so happened they were still the most complete returning team from coaching staff on down to the skill players. So I get it. I mean, there was no reason why nobody shouldn't have been predicting these guys to start off, you know, with the power rankings on top, because this is the one team of any of them that should have hit the ground running at a high level.
Yes.
You know, and I know they were on the road, and I know what it is in St. Louis. You know, I know the crowd gets there. I get that. But you're DC. They have generally played well on the road. You know, so I expected a lot more out of them. But hey, I cannot. That is not to take away from the job that St. Louis pass rush did. Oh my gosh. Watching this, I was like, I had to go back and check. I was like 7 sacks. Are you kidding me? That Jordan Tamu, one of his best attributes is getting away from the sack. You know what I mean? Being elusive, and that wasn't happening, man. That wasn't happening at all.
So Gabe, let's stop talking quarterbacks for a minute, and let's just talk about the Renegades. You know, the offense and defense. What was your surprises? What was your takes coming away from that game about the team, other than the quarterback position?
Well, I mean, obviously Stephen Jones with the pick six. I mean, you talk about just reading that play. You go back and watch it, and he was there. He was waiting for that, and that kind of set the tone. You know, I did not expect the defense to be like, if you would have told me, hey, you know, the Renegades are going to win this game big, I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be a shootout. You know, and I think what's getting lost in all this hype about Austin Reed, and rightfully so, what he did is how well the defense played. Now, they weren't perfect because I did see some holes in that defense. I know late in the game, that touchdown, I like to attribute it more, Houston's touchdown late in the game, more to garbage time points. But there were times where the defense maybe got away with a blown coverage, you know, maybe because the pass was bad or whatnot before Houston changed quarterbacks. But my biggest surprise was the defense overall. I mean, I expected some of the names, I talked with Charlton, them to be out there, and it wasn't. It was guys that I was not familiar with, admittedly. And I think that's always a good thing. When you go in as a fan of a team and a guy who covers a team and you're like, okay, I'm not too familiar with what these guys can do, and they're the ones that are making the names in that game. I was pretty impressed with the Dallas defense overall. I felt in special teams coverage needs to be a little more work there. Offensive line, I felt did a great job for the most part. You know, they didn't really test the mobile ability of Austin Reed, but that's going to get tested this week against St. Louis. But my biggest surprise, though, was how we can go in with no effective running game at all and still pull off a blowout the way we did. You know, that one was big for me. So
KJ, you know, so your initial thoughts after, you know, you've had time to think about this game,
digest
your thoughts of, I guess, Houston, your thoughts of Dallas, but are your thoughts different about Dallas? That were they all about did they play that great of a game, or was it more Houston's game plan? What are your initial thoughts about Houston, number one, but number two, how deserving Dallas's rise in the rankings has been this week?
I mean, I think they both compound one another. Dallas played a great game. Houston played like, dumpster fire trash, and it showed on the field, reflected in the scoring margin. I think if you want to get into the specifics of it in comparison, while I would echo and agree 100% with everything that Gabe and Eric have both said about the coaching, Dallas is the most equipped at the coaching experience level, so to speak, to be the best setup for success long term. That point aside, and to I'm far on his name, Austin Reed's credit, he played very well as well. I think it was Jared in the chat had mentioned it earlier in the stream, and I agree with him. There were a couple throws that Austin threw that were like behind the receiver. So if you wanted to kind of pit him side by side with every other quarterback in the league, I'd put a guy, like Bean ahead of him in comparison to like new faces that we're seeing play and debut this first week of the season. I think Bean is a much better quarterback. I mean, he was dropping dimes, super accurately, deep balls and accurate throws that other quarterbacks even struggle to make, who are seasoned, tenured guys in the league. So, I mean, not to discredit, like I said, Austin had a great game. I think for me, the power rankings everybody's throwing them at, to me, logically just doesn't make sense. If you're going strictly off of coaching, then I'll concede the point and say, okay, that's fair. But off of 1 week of play, if you are arguing, and I don't disagree, that Houston is the worst team in the league, you should have a high scoring margin. That goes without saying. Like, that's a natural indicative of playing the worst team and you being a notably better team. But to say that you can take that one hyphenated game of a team of, small, but 6 other teams, and say they're the very best in the league, I have to pump the brakes there, because that's that whole schematic there of the scoring margin and us sucking actually discredits that argument than it does give it credence. It doesn't support that notion whatsoever, because you should be a cakewalk. Houston sucks. Dallas played well, but if Houston is truly as bad as they looked, it should be easy for Dallas to get the victory in that sense. So I think, I don't, like I said, I don't discredit the coaching. I think if I were to rank them in my eyes, I'd probably put them, I'd say at the maybe 3 or 4 spot at the highest point. I just don't think 1 and 2 is respective of what we've seen in just one week of gameplay. I also wouldn't disagree. I know the quarterback is the most important position on the field, but even Gabe's pointed out here, like, there's elements on the ground that make your offense dynamic that Dallas necessarily didn't show that much of. And not to say that they can't do it, but until we see that, you got to have the full robust package. You can have a great quarterback. If your O-line sucks and you don't have a running game, it's still an 11-man sport. Like, you can't be, even Tom Brady had a great team around him. Like, you can be the GOAT all day long. You can't carry a football squad on your own if you're the only accelerant player on the team. So, Houston has a lot of work to do. I'll stop bashing Dallas. I think we're in a much worse case, 100%. Extremely disappointed in Nolan's debut. I was the person, and I preached it from the mountaintops on X and other platforms when they announced that he was starting. I had called it when they basically announced our draft picks and then finally picked up who was it? I guess Nolan. Yeah, he was the last one to get picked up, that he was most likely probably going to be the starter. But I was regretting being so proud and making that selection based on how he played that game. It was not good to watch.
KJ,
I know you got another attaboy. Eric wants to put another notch on
point of order
for
who
picking
said
Decker.
Hunter Deckers would be the starter.
I didn't know him from Adam, so I honestly, I won't even argue that one. He played
kind of a
played
point
well
of order.
for us. He took his opportunity and stepped up admirably, to his credit. I will say, to kind of mimic Eric's whole, I called it before the season started, was literally the point I made in a post that I believe, I don't know if I tagged Coach Summerlin and the team on, but I definitely made the point of calling out the fact that outside of finishing red zone drives, which was I would argue Houston's biggest Achilles heel on the offensive side of the ball last season. Having a good O-line and the running game were two of the question marks for me when I looked at our roster post-draft. We had a lot of good guys returning, so I had high optimism for the offensive line. The running back room we had, I think we're pulling in 3 new guys that hadn't played in the UFL before, and I personally didn't know from Adam. So it was a lot of unknowns on the ground component. We definitely struggled there, and I correspondingly with offense, I mean, that was partially, yes, Nolan played bad. Deckers did as best he could, but even he had moments where he was running for his life because our offensive line just could not protect him very well at all. So they definitely have a lot to work on and improve upon. I don't know what it'll look like from the standpoint of roster adjustments over the rest of this week, if there are any made. But hopefully they can at least put up a better fight against Birmingham. I'm not even necessarily expecting a win this weekend from them, but to play the game much better would be the hope, I think, by most fans' viewpoint.
I think a thing that a quarterback like Decker certainly gave, us at Iowa State and at Iowa Western and places that he played, it changes from a perspective on the defense when you have a tall, long, left-handed quarterback. Rollouts. He's comfortable going to his left. The defense just mentally, they're always thinking when he's going to roll out, they're going to roll out right. They're going to roll out right. And he can come out left, and he's a big, tall dude. I mean, he can sling it. It'll take time. But the problem is, and I think we've mentioned this with most of the teams in DC, probably the biggest question mark is, can they protect him? If you can't protect your quarterback, I don't care if you're a UFL team with Tom Brady back there. If you can't protect them, you're dead. And I mean, you are dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it don't matter how mobile your quarterback is. And just real quick, KJ, I agree with everything you said. But, even though I'm not ready to lift up Austin Reed as the new king of spring yet, I will say this. Now, while Houston, I think your issues, and I don't think you'll have a knock on this, their defense is going to be bad this year if they don't make some changes quick. But with that said, we've had some bad defenses in spring football over the last couple of years. So in Austin Reed, to his credit, yes, like he said, if you're playing a bad team, you're supposed to roll them. But a really good quarterback is going to break a regular season record against a bad team.
Yeah,
that did happen.
That's true.
That's
very true.
You know what I mean? So that I got to give him credit for that. But again, like you guys, I mean, I know, Dallas kind of jumped on him right away, and the running game kind of taken away. I feel like Houston's going to have the same issues that Dallas does. Like, do we have a running back? Henderson had 2 carries for like 8 yards. That was your leading rusher outside of your quarterback. So I get it with that. I mean, you're right. I understand why people are putting Dallas up there in the power rankings, and it's because power rankings are basically what are you doing for us lately? What are we seeing for you this week?
Right.
So I get it while they're up there, but yeah, I mean, if they do not get a running game, if Day Hunter doesn't come back and just revive this running game, teams are going to start figuring this out. That was another advantage, for Neuheisel. Everybody's used to seeing Stoops' offense with Luis Perez. There was no film on what we were going, what they were going to be facing with Neuheisel's offense and this new quarterback. That they thought Luis Perez, they were going to be going up against him, preparing for him, and all of a sudden, 2 days before the game, by the way, no, it's not. Yeah. So we're going to find out. So I get it, KJ. You are absolutely right. I'm telling Renegades fans, I'm excited too, but let's just tone it down a little bit because we got a legit test coming this week. If we can go and actually be at home and we can hold it down at home against St. Louis, then you guys might have to bring me on next week because maybe not. You might not shut me up.
So let's transition. Let's transition to we got a very rare Tuesday night game coming up.
Yeah,
between St. Louis and Dallas. Brett, now that you've had a chance to see both teams play, you have any initial thoughts on what you're looking for this game coming up Tuesday night?
Well, I think it's going to be totally different than what we saw with Dallas and Houston, and I think it's going to be different than what we saw with St. Louis and DC. 20-17, 24-20, somewhere in that ballpark. It's right now from what we saw, it's going to be St. Louis's defense and Dallas's offense, and who's going to win that battle. I mean, I know it's week 2, but yes, Houston, Gabe, you're just shorting your boy. You just shorten him. I know you like Luis. If you remember where Luis got his spring football start, was right up the road in Birmingham, Alabama for the Birmingham Iron in 2019 AAF. Not that I remember, not that I was there, but not that I'm a football addict or anything. I'm not, but I think it was a lot of the play calling too. It wasn't just the quarterback. The play calling was not week 1 play calling, and they executed so well. It was impressive, and I give credit to the OC and the quarterback in that one. Now again, St. Louis is who we thought they were on defense. Their front 7, especially their front 4. And Chandler, their defensive coordinator, he made me out to be a liar. He was so vanilla last year in Birmingham, it drove me insane. Until the Michigan playoff game, he kind of let it loose, and we still couldn't contain Perkins. Man, he threw out so many blitzes this weekend. I didn't know if Prohl was calling the defense or who was. But I thought it definitely wasn't Birmingham's old DC. But to think they're going to score 33 or 40 points against St. Louis, that's not going to happen. But I do think it's going to be a coin flip game. It's going to be the game of the weekend, and it's going to go down to the very end. And, hey, could we get our first overtime of the season? It could be one of those games. I'd be floored if it's one way either way. I think it's going to be a great game.
Well, it sounds like Hakeem Butler is supposed to be able to play this week.
I was going to ask about that. I'm also looking forward to seeing if Day Hunter will be running the ball for Dallas this week. Because if not, I mean, I'm looking. I liked what I saw out of the 2 top running backs for St. Louis this week. So they're going to test Dallas's defense. Now, Brett, you did talk about it's going to be about Dallas's offense versus St. Louis defense. But this goes back to what I talked about a while ago. The whole Austin Reed, saga going on with the media, everybody. Okay, how good was he? He played against a bad defense. But also, let's not forget about that Dallas defense. They look pretty good. Now,
They did.
We'll see. A different test this week. But It would not surprise me for this game. Like you said, I don't think either one of these teams is going to put up 30 points. I'll be very surprised if we have a shootout that's over 30 points. But I expect to see some good defense in this game. And I really think with Hakeem Butler, I was worried about that. I was going to ask you guys. I was waiting to ask you guys, is he coming back? And I'm like, man, okay. So now, that's another thing. Dallas secondary looked very good against Houston. But now you've got this full-strength wide receiver core coming back for St. Louis. Here we go, baby. Let's see what you did it against Houston.
Yeah.
Let's see you do it against a much better wide receiver core.
I might want to pump the brakes just a tad on Butler, and I need to get more information. But here's what I'm told, what I've read by multiple people, is that Hakeem Butler was supposedly on the sidelines last weekend with crutches. Is that correct?
I guess I was so into the game that I really can't say that I saw him on the sideline.
I feel like I remember seeing a picture of him, Brett, so I want to say it is true, but I don't remember where I saw it. I thought it was on an X post.
But unless they changed the rules, wasn't it if a player was not active, he did not travel with the team? I always thought that they left players behind if they weren't.
That might be the case, but I swear could be misinformation. We get a little bit of that on Facebook and X. But if that's true, if he was in a boot or crutches or whatever last week, now he might be quote unquote available this weekend, but he's not going to be the Hakeem Butler we're used to. He's going to be anything, more of a, distraction, try to get some of their other receivers open. But I just don't see how you go from crutches and a boot to you're active the next week. But
yeah,
that's the rumor that he's active. So
even if he is, I mean, like you said, if that's true, that he was on crutches, I mean, he's probably going to be on a snap count. More of a decoy than anything. Maybe they'll take one shot at him downfield. Let him go up and climb the ladder. But I mean, I wasn't aware of that. If he was on crutches, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't wish injury on anybody, but it makes me feel a little bit better going into this game.
Well, I've got several fans here in the comment line, and none of them are saying that they saw him on the sideline. But to me, they've only talked about undisclosed injury. Has anybody actually heard I know last year he had an issue with his groin.
The only thing I heard was a high ankle sprain, but it has not been verified by anybody. And if you guys know anything about high ankle sprains, and who knows when it happened? Did it happen 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago?
Right.
Unfortunately, as a Bama fan, I learned a hell of a lot more about high ankle sprains Saban's last 2 or 3 years than what I ever wanted to know, because we had some key players that just kept getting them. And those can be lingering injuries to where they end up having to have that procedure and just on and on and on.
Everybody in the comment line, even though this is a UFL show, take a drink, because Brett managed to get Saban into the conversation. So take your shot right now.
That's kind of an ongoing thing. I know.
I felt like that was strategic, Brett. Like this is the time.
All of our regular viewers always have a shot available because.
Hey, it was 9:33. I was running short on time,
So let's go ahead and get into the keys to the game and make our predictions, because we're going to be on here till midnight if we don't start getting things going. In fact, I don't know what your time looks like, Gabe, but you're more than willing to be our guest picker this week if you want to put your vote in on all the games. So
okay.
We go off the point spreads, Gabe. We go off the point spreads.
Yeah, I think that Gabe.
I go off the top of my head of what I see, man.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. It's the vibe. That's the vibe.
We always pick winners, and when we pick winners, Brett and I went 4-0. When we use Eric's flawed,
you know why?
This time,
because Eric was so tired of winning the Pick'em championships. We gotta change it up. My hands are getting heavy.
Okay. So who wants to go first? KJ, you go first. St. Louis at Dallas, Tuesday night game. I was hoping this would be a Fox or an ESPN game, especially with it being a Tuesday night prime time, because I thought, what else is on there? Big numbers, but it ends up on FS1. So. What a bummer. But
can I just say real quick about that? I know UFL's making changes. Can somebody get in Rapoli's ear and tell him, look, you need to turn the UFL app into its own streaming deal. Let us pay a monthly fee to have access to the games on the app. That's all I'm saying. I think it would be great for the UFL. But hey, that's another argument for another time.
The over-under. 42.5.
I'll take the under.
The Dallas Renegades are 3.5-point favorites. Both teams sitting at 1-1. KJ, you're first out of the chute.
1-0, Ed.
I won't say a lot. I'll just echo kind of what Gabe and I already talked through. I don't feel like I've seen enough from Dallas yet, so I'll be taking St. Louis on this one.
Eric?
Well, it burnt me last week because I had more faith in DC coming out. And I'm that guy that defense wins championships because I'm a Bears fan. That's all that we have. So I'm going to take St. Louis, and I'm going to take the 3.5 points.
I'll go next. I think that, Austin Reed had a hell of a game. Damn near set an all-time record for passing yards, and
he did set the record.
Well, for regular season. But
Yeah.
he didn't beat Ta'amu out in the playoffs.
Right.
Ta'amu, I think he's still throwing for touchdowns yet.
Yeah.
But I think this week is going to be a totally different week. I think we're going to get to see how's Austin Reed under pressure because, I think, as Brett talked about the defensive coordinator being more on the conservative side, I think he definitely showed this last week that he's going to get after it. So if he shows that same game plan, is Austin Reed ready for that? Is he going to be able to adjust on the fly? Is he going to be able to hit his receivers being flushed out of the pocket? I guess we'll see, but I look for St. Louis to go into Dallas. And, I pick them to win, but I think they'll definitely, 3.5 points, that's too much in a game like this. So I'm taking St. Louis. So, Brett, you're up.
With the points, I've got to take St. Louis in the points at 3.5. But I will say, since I've got Brett's winners now, because that's all that matters. Whether we win or lose. We're not a damn tout service, Eric. But
Thank you.
Dallas wins the game. St. Louis plus 3.5 in the points.
I gotta write that down, Ed. I gotta write that down.
Brett picked Dallas.
Dallas to win, but I'll take St. Louis in the points.
Okay.
Well, that means I can lose by 3.
I haven't. I haven't won one of those, Eric. I haven't won.
It's funny you picked that, Brett. I'm just saying because I'm looking at what I'm picking for every one of these games. And I'm sorry, Ed. You might have been going next. You want to go next?
I already made my pick.
You already made his pick.
Well, I'm completely 100% with Brett. I like Dallas to win by 3. And I think, while I have said that this is going to be a real test for Austin Reed, I think this is the game where his mobility comes into play. It's going to have to. It's going to have to. Against that pass rush, it's time to yes, the eyes, Brett. Thank you, the red eyes, baby. That's what I'm talking. That's what you're going to see from Austin Reed this week. He is not yet the new king of spring. He is not, but he's going to take a big step to it this week, baby. I like the Renegades to win by 3. I really think that his mobility is going to have to come into play, but I think the coaching is going to be the key here. Neuheisel will have him ready. Neuheisel's specialty has always been developing the quarterbacks, preparing his quarterbacks. He had them prepared last week. They kind of got that going. Okay, let's see what we can do. They had a little bit of room because they had not as good a defense they were up against. This week now, it's going to be a little bit more, okay, what worked last week, what didn't work. And now it's time to let this guy run and let's see what he can do. But I do think that Dallas will win by 3. I think it's going to come down to them kicking some kind of field goal. Dallas having the ball, a big 4th down. He runs for it. Lock it in, baby. I said it.
So we got Marty taking Dallas. We got John David taking St. Louis. And I believe Excalibur picked St. Louis as well earlier in the comment line. Is DJ, is that Big Mike?
Yeah, Big Mike's got Dallas.
Big Mike's got Dallas. So I want my shirt sent back. I'll give you the address.
Do you guys realize that St. Louis has been the focus of the first 2 weeks in terms of the feature games? Like everybody was on that DC St. Louis game for good reason. This is the game of the week for week 1. And now all of a sudden St. Louis is in the game of the week for week 2. Man, y'all were talking before I came on. I was watching you guys. You were talking playoffs for St. Louis. I don't think it's too early. I think you guys are right, man. This team is going to be there every single week. They're going to have eyes on this team, win or lose.
Yeah.
So let's go to the Friday night tilt. and I'll put that up next. We got the DC Defenders trying to get off the schneid. They're 1.5-point favorites playing in Columbus. Columbus starts the season 0-1. It's a Friday night, 7 p.m. Fox game. The over-under is 39.5. So you guys that are on the comment line, just remember when you're picking your game, you got to pick them just like we pick them. So make sure you're taking the points into account.
Pay attention to the numbers, people.
Yeah, because next week,
Just because we picked one way for 38 years and they're going to change it.
That's right. Next week, I don't want all you viewers to start saying,
Brett, stop picking Stanley. It's not nice.
I don't want you all saying you were 4-0 like Brett. You got to be able to go.
Frickin' whiner.
Okay, DC 1.5-point favorites. Who wants to go first? Brett, why don't you go first here?
Columbus's first ever game at home, Friday night, and one of the football capitals of the country, of the world. It's still only week 2, and once again, DC is notoriously slow start. Give me McClendon, give me the Aviators, and they gonna fly all over that ass Friday night. Columbus with the W.
Okay.
But I will take the 1.5 in case they lose by 1.
Whoa, what? What?
Would you quit ping-ponging and just make the damn pick consistently?
Columbus!
You know what? I feel bad for Ed at this point because you are screwing with his mature age and his brain having to keep track with your squirrely picks.
Yeah. I'm trying to be an IT manager. I mean, Jesus.
He's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, Ed, and dance across the dotted line. Good Lord.
Okay, Eric, go ahead.
Let's see. Do I? Well, I mean, if I was just straight up picking this game, I would.
The line's 1.5.
We're using points. DC has a big problem up front, clearly. Columbus, it's the first home game. They're going to be jacked. I don't know if DC can fix their problems all in 1 week. They're playing the Friday game. I'm going to give the 1.5 point. I'm taking Columbus.
God,
But if I was picking it straight up, I mean, I'll take Columbus, but I want that 1.5 points.
Okay, KJ.
I'll play the dance game. I think DC is going to get this one. I've learned that picking the teams I have favoritism in doesn't always end well, so I'm going to be as unbiased as possible here. And while they probably won't fix every problem, I think they'll be able to make proper defensive adjustments to at least do a better job of constricting gain on the ground, which is what has aided Columbus so far through the season in being multifaceted. And I think the protection will probably improve at least enough for Tamu to be a threat. I don't see Columbus getting 7 sacks. We'll put it that way. So yeah.
Okay, Gabe, you're up.
All right, man. Well, let's start by talking about Ty Scott, DC. Underused in that first game. Led the UFL last year. Okay? I really think that last week was like DC, okay, let's just get back to basics, break the rust off. This is what we got to do. I think they go not quite back to championship form, but I think they're going to be good enough to win this game against Columbus, even on the road. Like I said, DC tends to compete well on the road, but I feel like Scott is going to be the guy this week. We had Badger from Orlando. What did he have? 127 yards last week. I think Scott's prime. He's prime. I think, that first game, he had only like 2 catches. This is the game he goes off. I think Tamu finally gets a little bit smarter. He's not going to be dealing with that pass rush that St. Louis had. I mean, that's the thing. He's not going to be looking at 7 sacks. This is the Aviators still trying to find their ground, what they're doing. I think DC gets back on track with where they left off last year because this isn't the Battlehawks. Let's just be real. I think DC goes in, and I honestly, I don't even think it's close. I think they roll by double digits.
Yeah, my thoughts are, like I've always said, whether it's Coach Harris, Coach Kais, Williams, all those, I've got so much respect for those guys, and I just can't imagine that they're going to go into Columbus and get out coached. I think this week's practice, I'm sure that the players are getting whipped into shape, and I think Coach Harris is going to have their ear, and I think you're going to see more of what the DC team is all about. And I almost agree with the comment line. I'm going to take DC, and I don't even think it's going to be close. I kind of agree with Gabe. I think it's going to be a double-digit win. So I got DC.
I like what Excalibur is saying in the comments. He puts it well. DC's problems were St. Louis related. So let's just put it that way. That was a lot of St. Louis bringing pressure, getting it done. So I think DC gets back. Yeah.
However, Columbus, Big Mike has Columbus, Excalibur has DC, John David has DC, Marty has Columbus. So it's kind of split.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next game. The next game is I really like all the primetime games this week. The scheduling they're pretty much all evening games. I love that. So Louisville Kings looking for their first win. Go to Orlando. Orlando's going to be like the Kansas City Chiefs of the NFL, where it seems like Orlando's always playing at home. But Orlando is early, 3.5-point favorites. It's a Saturday night, 7 o'clock ESPN game. The over-under is 39.5. Eric, why don't you go first on this one?
Jeez, Ed gets to go last every time. He's trying to win, Brett.
Well, you guys bitch all the time about how long it takes me to make up my mind. So last, I got it made up by the time it's
I tell you what, I'm going to start taking forever so I can go in this last spot. I'm going to go with Coach Conservative on this one. They're at home again. Louisville's got to go on the road for the first time. I think Coach Conservative figures out how to win by 4 points. I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of 24-20, 27, 23. I would still take the under. So I don't know. I'm going to go with Coach Conservative. I'm going with Orlando. I'll eat the points.
KJ?
Well, the transition to playing on the road, I know, is definitely a factor. I don't know if they can beat the spread. That's really where it comes down to for me. I think Louisville.
That's why it's 3.5, KJ.
The point's 3.5.
Oh, I was referencing Orlando with that comment.
Oh, right.
Anyways, back to my rhetoric before I got rudely interrupted. I think the conservative stuff has the potential to bite Beck in the butt. It may not be week 2, but I'll take the gamble and say I don't know if the Kings will win, but I think that the Orlando will not exceed the spread. So I'm picking Louisville.
Gabe, let's go with you.
Now, I'm not a guy who bets. I'm not a guy who does the things on the spread, but I will give you this. If it's Orlando 3, I'm agreeing with KJ. I think if they're going to win, but it's going to be close. I did not see, considering it's a team in Orlando that is, I like to think that Anthony Beck is a good coach, very well coached. They were one of those teams that was coming in with the coaching advantage into the season. But I wasn't overly impressed in week 1. So I feel like this is going to be a close game. I think they barely squeezed this one out. And I feel like Orlando, I just have this vibe that they're not going to impress me this week either. But I'll take Orlando, but I don't think they will cover.
Well, if you don't think they're going to cover, then you want to take Louisville.
You're taking Louisville. I got Gabe
okay, how many points
He's
are
taking notes from Brent, y'all.
Let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys. What does Orlando pick to win by 3? By 3,
3.5. 3.5.
Okay. Orlando's 3.5 point favorites. So
okay,
Louisville
they
get. Go ahead.
For more, right?
Yeah, Orlando's got to win by 4.
4 or more. Yeah.
4 more.
Okay, see, no, I got Orlando winning by a point. That's what I'm saying.
So that you're taking Louisville then.
So
You said that in the beginning.
I'm
Y'all
taking
just weren't
Louisville.
paying
So,
attention.
I said Orlando wins the game.
He said he wasn't
Yeah.
making a points pick. He was picking the team. Y'all just-
Come on,
You're taking-
Eric. Eric, I know I can tell you take this points spread thing very serious, man.
Yeah.
I get it.
Because it's different. Otherwise, it's like Orlando's going to win by a point, 4 points. No, we'd all take
Like I
Orlando.
said earlier, all that matters is who wins the game, baby. That's all that matters.
Right, but Gabe, here's my point. We would all take Orlando without the point spread. I took Orlando to beat the point spread, and KJ and Brett KJ and you both think Louisville's going to win, but it's not going to beat the point spread. So now we're on the opposite sides of it. Otherwise, we'd all be on the same side. And it would be a snoozer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Brett. Tell us how Orlando's going to win by 3, but you're going to take Louisville to win the points. Come on, Brett. Go ahead.
Let them know, Brett. Tell them, Brett.
I thought we were picking points.
We are, but tell us that Louisville.
What the hell does it matter who I think's going to win the game if we're picking points?
Because we got a whole freaking graphic of you. I was 4-0 last week.
No. Me and your uncle were 4-0.
Yeah, you bunch of crybabies. Come on.
Yeah.
Tell us that Orlando's going to win by 3.
Over with because I'm going to stomp a literal mud hole into his ass on these picks this year.
Come on, take Louisville, but Orlando's going to win, but you're going to take Louisville because they're going to win by 3.
Louisville by 3.5, and they can absolutely look. You said Coach Conservative 87 times, and you still took them to win by 4.
Yeah, it's 4. That's one score.
Give me Louisville. Give me the Louisville.
The only way Eric wins is if head coach Conservative kicks a 60-yard field goal plus at the end of the game to win. Otherwise, he's going to lose because I guarantee you this game is going to come down to a field goal one way or another. And regardless, they're not going to cover the 3.5. So I am taking Louisville. So Eric is the only one taking Orlando.
Eric is going to be punching air when Coach Conservative has a 1-point lead to end the game and he kneels the ball, he kneels it down and doesn't kick the field goal to go up by 4. Yeah. Eric's going to be punching air.
At the 2-yard line.
Oh, man. I love it, man.
And you know what I'm not going to do, Gabe, next week? I'm not going to come out here and cry like, oh, my God.
So we got John David takes Louisville. Marty's taking Orlando. Jim's got the Storm by 6.
Attaboy, Jim. I love it.
Excalibur is taking, I don't know who he's taking. He's just
Orlando.
Well, he's got Orlando too, huh? And
he said Beck will have his team ready since it's not the playoffs. You are correct, Excalibur.
I like it. That's a good way to phrase it right there.
So the next game, we got the Birmingham Stallions, 7.5 point favorites going into Houston, who's looking for their first win. It's a Sunday, Easter day. They moved the game from an 11 o'clock or a noon kickoff to 5 o'clock. So all you Easter egg hunters could make the game. The game is going to be on the NFL Network, over under of 43.5. Gabe, I'm going to let you have first bite at this one.
You know, I got to be honest. Last week, I was a little disappointed by the Stallions when I saw the score because I expected more coming out. Now, I didn't get to watch the game as it happened, so I had to go back and watch it. Matt Corral I expected, they this was one of the teams, like I talked about with the Renegades coming in with Luis Perez. We thought, okay, they're good at quarterback. They're going to be good, hit the ground running. Oh, man, just under 7 yards, per completion. I really felt like they played it safe with him. Now, granted, they were able to because the score was low, but I think the Stallions are like, and maybe I'm still in my mindset of these, Skip Holtz coach teams, because the Troop is just such an amazing coach. But I'm like, I feel like they are that sleeping bear, and they have the talent. There's talent on this team. I mean, Deion Kane still scares me if I'm playing against him, no matter what, because he's capable of going off any game. I think that happens this week. I got the Stallions getting back on track. What is the spread? What
7.5.
7.5.
Okay, that ain't gonna happen. I don't. That's wow. Okay, you know what though, Houston. Oh man, that defense. Okay. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I mean, maybe some of y'all agree, maybe not, but I like Birmingham to turn it up this week, even though they're going on the road. At least from what I saw week 1, I think they covered. I think we're talking like a, 8 to 10 point win.
Brett?
I kind of agree with Gabe. The only thing that gives me pause, the kid, the Birmingham kicker was Dallas's kicker last year. And I don't know what in the hell happened to him Friday night in Louisville, but I don't know if you watched that yet, Gabe, or highlights of it. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a damn boat Friday night.
Yeah.
And I do think he will be better. And this is a game really that I know Eric loves this. Birmingham's really got to win, because if they lose to Houston, they go to the Battle Dome next week. They could go home 1-2 before we finally get our first home game. I wonder how Houston responds with Summerlin after what happened last week, because it was not pretty. And I agree with KJ on this. If it was a different coach, I would probably take Houston in these points, but I'm going with Birmingham, and we've got to open it up a little more. But I'm going with Birmingham to cover.
Who's going next?
Ed, you want to go?
I think. Okay, what is a stallion?
Oh my no! Jesus! I'm glad I didn't have any pop in my mouth right to spit it all over the screen.
Yeah, that propel almost went flying, Ed. Thank you. What is a stallion? Well, a stallion.
God, when you did that those couple nights, I could have shot you.
If I was a gambling man,
I gamble on a stallion.
I think Birmingham rights the ship. They know that they can't kick field goals this week, so they're gonna have to score touchdowns. But I think Birmingham's gonna cover. I got Birmingham.
I hate swallowing 7.5 points, and I do think Houston will be better with Deckers at the quarterback. But man, is it going to be that much better? I don't know. I guess we'll see. So until we see, I'm going to have to go with Birmingham and just eat 7.5 points. Num, 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 num.
KJ, can you top that?
You know what? I think I can.
We got
all right. I want everybody take a deep breath. Everybody, close your eyes. I'm going to take you back in time. Okay.
Oh, God.
I want you to listen.
Does this involve Kenny Rogers?
No, it's not. I'm not that kind of guy. I promise. Houston fans will know where I'm going with this, but all sports fans who followed college football will know where I'm going with this. Imagine we're in 2011, the height of Houston Cougar football. Case Keenum is breaking NCAA records like it's going out of style. Now wake up, because we're not in 2011, and it's been over a decade since Kevin Sumlin has been worth a damn. Sorry, that's the facts. That's the truth. Mike Rapoli clearly didn't watch the film from USFL 2022 when he made this guy get our head coaching position. I don't know what they were smoking. He proved his fruit and colors in week 1, and I just don't see it changing. Birmingham to easily cover the spread. And
Wow.
Houston, if they rally, it won't be probably till middle of the season if we're lucky.
I didn't think you were going to be that emphatic about it, KJ.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty.
I'm about ready to potentially switch colors here if this season doesn't rally at all.
We don't have one viewer that's taking Houston, so everybody is.
And you know what? That's why Houston's going to win and pull off the upset.
Yeah.
That's definitely the Chad Coyle mentality. We'll say that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I gotta put this up before we wrap things up, because
Oh, God.
the last couple of years we haven't really heard or seen from this guy at all. And then all of a sudden, what do we see posted today? The Rock comes out.
On April Fool's Day.
Yeah, on April Fool's Day. I don't think even Dwayne realized what he was doing in that post.
Rock comes out to give congratulations to Austin Reed, player 54. And I was like, damn.
You read that post and you can just tell he didn't watch the games. No, at all.
He has nothing to do with this league, and anybody who says otherwise is literally
As a
living.
UFL,
as
a UFL owner, my number one priority, as it always been and always will be, is to create opportunities for players and coaches to do what they love and take care of their families. Okay.
You know, I accepted a long time ago. I accepted a long time ago that The Rock is just, he's just maybe some kind of minority owner. He has no interest anymore in coming out, promoting the team, trying to put his own money into it more than what is necessary. I've accepted that a long time ago. So now that people are saying this doesn't surprise me. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know, you're not watching the games. Come on, we don't.
It's not Zoa Energy or Tiramana Tequila. You can't get a quick buck. You actually have to put in some work to make a profit.
Yeah.
So as we showed everybody earlier, here's your slate for week 2. DC and the Aviators play Friday night, followed by Louisville and Orlando on Saturday night prime time. Then we got a Sunday night prime time, Birmingham at Houston, followed up by a Tuesday prime time, St. Louis at Dallas. So
Tuesday. Who watches football on a Tuesday?
The 5 of us watch football on a Tuesday. The 5 of
Any
us.
day of the week.
But we're hardcore, right? What they're trying to get, Rapoli wants the casual fan, because that's where the dollars start coming in. The casual fan doesn't watch on Tuesdays. That's all I'm saying. I'll be watching, don't get me wrong. I'll be watching my boys, more than covering the spread against St. Louis, all I'm saying. But,
well,
the rest of America who isn't a UFL fan won't be, though. But I don't care. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brett. See, Brett, when I start to lose my momentum, he shows me the red eyes again, and then it picks me back up again and say, we don't need the King of Spring. We're going to
That's the logo in spring football.
You did notice that, right, Gabe? You did notice above my head, right?
Yes, I did. And that is beautiful, Ed. That is absolutely beautiful. Uh-oh. Hold up.
You know what the problem is? The problem is it says Arlington, so I can't do anything about it. I'll just hold it up in the screen like this for you.
There you go. Perfect.
They changed Dallas and Houston around like everybody changes their underwear. They don't know what their name's going to be called.
I had all of my stuff when I was running the Hellraisers podcast. I had all these promotional pics that I had made, thumbnails around the Arlington Renegades. I had to go back. I couldn't use none of them this week. I had to go back and recreate them. And I was like, wait, they were once Dallas before. Let me go back and pull some of that old
Just need to follow the KISS principle.
No shame.
Just need to follow the KISS
shame.
principle. Renegades. Don't put a city name. Renegades.
Renegades, man. That's it. That's what with my podcast this week. I made sure it was a mental thing. When you address them, just say Renegades. Don't say nothing else. Because if I start saying Dallas, you're gonna know I'm a Cowboys fan. I might start talking about Dak Prescott, and I'm like, oh wait, wrong league. You know, that ain't happening here. So you're right. Thank you, KJ. I'm gonna do that, man. I gotta just stick to the Renegades.
Well, as always, Gabe, appreciate. We've hooked up off and on the last couple of years now. It's always been a pleasure.
It's all love, man. I love talking football with you guys, man, for real.
Why don't you tell everybody where we can find you and everything? So before we let you go.
So Gridiron Nation Podcast is now exclusively only on 2 apps. I went exclusively to Spotify and to Pocket Casts, which is also a free app that offers just hundreds of podcasts. So Gridiron Nation available on Spotify. Y'all can catch me there. I put the new episode out every single Thursday morning. Matter of fact, just before coming on with you guys, just finished recording this week's episode. So I'm going in, of course, I'm mostly covering Arlington. I'm covering the UFL heavily right now, but of course,
how about Dallas?
My focus is on Dallas. See,
Yeah, you covered Dallas.
Arizona Diamondbacks hat is restricting the blood flow to your brain, Dave. Take it off.
Man, see, that's the problem, man. You guys, that's the second time I've done it on the show tonight. That's in Arlington.
Hey, Gabe, I flew into Arlington. What was it, 2022? Right before 2023 season that summer. You remember they had the town hall right across from Choctaw Stadium, and I flew in from Birmingham for that, and literally sat right next to the mayor in the front row. And I remember, knowing which cities was coming, so I made sure to wear a Tampa Bay Vipers jersey because I knew there wasn't going to be one of the teams just to mess with them. And I remember when they announced to Arlington, and I just looked around because it was mainly, Dallas Renegade fans, and I was looking around, and they were just looking at each other.
Yeah, they keep.
And then they changed the logo on you guys. The best logo.
You know what's crazy is they had no choice but to change it back because everybody that wasn't even not even Renegades fans, the league was like, "What are y'all doing?"
I agree.
Back to the logo, So, but yeah, you can find me on Spotify and then of course on X. Just hit the search bar there on Facebook. Look for Gridiron Nation Podcast. I'm there. Going to be covering the UFL. So, and of course, majority I'll be covering the Renegades.
There you go.
Yeah, man, y'all just look me up and find me, and always down to come on and talk football with you guys, man. It's always fun. I love it.
And I think if I remember right in the schedule, I think Dallas and St. Louis hook up again in week 10.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on where the standings are at, that could be a very important for all the marbles type of a tiebreaker game. So
I'm kind of hoping that's to decide which team is going in number 1 and which going in number 2. But we'll see.
I hope you're right.
But again, thanks for coming on, Gabe. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. And again, it's all love. Let's enjoy some good football this week, man. Straight up.
You bet.
Good.
Take care, Gabe. Well,
that was good. So
the picks are in by the point spreads, Brett. So
that was good to see Gabe. Hadn't seen Gabe in a long time.
Yeah, Gabe has kind of gotten into music too. I tell you what, he writes some killer songs. If you haven't listened to him at all, he's not too damn bad at it. So I know he's been doing some radio station hosting too, so yeah. I mean, I always enjoy talking to Gabe. Shoot, Eric and I have been hooking up with Gabe since what, 23?
Yeah, 23. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Has been a while.
We know how to get his blood boiling, though. We just wait till the NFL season. Then we go on his show and dog Dallas. It doesn't take long to get him to attend. So
Well, the thing of it is, that's like kicking an easy field goal, dog, in Dallas. I mean,
That's like a 5-point field goal. Isn't
yeah.
it?
Like if there was a 5-point field goal, that's what dogging on Dallas would be like.
Yeah.
It's just too easy.
That's like dunking on a 6-foot goal, you know? It's not even, over the last 30 years, people just like, I ain't even going to make a meme about it,
Yeah, the Dallas memes are so boring now. Let's go make a Chuck Norris meme or something, whatever. It's fine.
Mhm.
I hope everybody, Eric, get ready to take us out. But want to thank everybody again heading into week 2 games. Looking forward to it. Again, big thank you to all the pages that allow us to post our show. Sorry for all the technical difficulty last week, but we're on track again this week.
I'm back in the command center. We're all good now. We're all good.
Yeah, we don't have a guy sitting out in a
turkey blind or something like that. Yeah.
cutting our stream off right in the middle of the show. So things went good this week. So good luck to all your teams. I hope all of your teams win except for the team that plays St. Louis this week. We will see you guys again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. Love all you guys. Have a good weekend. We'll watch some football. Even next Tuesday night. We'll see you.
And that's the bottom line.